Hello and welcome back. First of all, I want to take just a minute and I want to thank all of you that watched my last video on the 356-135, the HTC Coated Bullet. I saw that there were quite a few views on that video and I reached out to Mr. Al Nelson at NOE and he said that he would run some more. So for those of you that went and checked his store and saw that maybe they were low on stock, part of it is due to that video, but I also wanted you to know that he is in fact making some more. So just be patient. I think he said that he was going to try to run them this Monday, which will be February the 6th of 2023. So because I have the Ballistic gel already mixed up, I figured I would take an opportunity and I would ballistic test my 457 Texan. Now I have two of them. If you've been following my channel, you know what started this channel was me deer hunting with the 457 Texan. Many of you may not realize that air gunning is gaining popularity across the United States. There are many states that have made it, quite a few actually, that have made it legal to hunt with air guns. One of the reasons that I ended up with the 457 is because now it is it is legal to deer hunt with the 457 Texan during primitive weapon season, and that's huge for me. Now, while I own muzzle loaders, it's for one weekend in the state of Georgia and an entire week, and it's a lot of maintenance on those muzzle loaders. That's why I ended up with the 457 Texan. Today, we're going to take this out to the range. This is the 460, and I'll put a close-up on it, a 460-315 bullet that Mr. Nelson makes at NOE. I have two of these particular Texans. I shoot this bullet right here, drops from my mold at roughly 291 grains with the bullet weight that I use. I also cast a 400 grain that I shoot in my other Texan, which is the longer version of this. This is the carbine length, and while I'm at it, I might as well make a shout out to 9 Run Guns. He helped me turn this into a carbine. I had two that were identical, and instead of me having to order another barrel, Mr. Deloach helped me shorten the barrel and we recrowned it. That way I had a little bit more compact package for hunting. With that said, we're going to take this out to the range. We are going to set up a target and we're going to see if we can catch one of these. If you go back to my older videos, if you want to know if in fact it will take large game, I did this past Thanksgiving, I did a deer hunt, which was the first video again on this channel, that actually took one with the Texan. A lot of my friends were picking on me at the time, asking why I was taking a BB gun to the deer stand, but one of the reasons the channel started, just to say, hey guys, ballistically it's great. We're going to see in just a minute. We're going to take it out to the range and see how it does. So here we are out at the range. I should have mentioned in the video in the introduction that I am casting about a 12.5 Brental hardness. So it's basically the toughness of wheel weights. So if you cast from wheel weights, this is about what you can expect, a 12.5 Brental hardness. I don't cast 30-to-1 on this because I want penetration. I do want to make it all the way through the animal. If you go back and you watch that video, you'll see if you slow it down, even though the footage is blurry, because I had to zoom in from a 4K GoPro that was mounted to the top here, but you can actually see the bullet pass through. So I am running a 4x16 PST Vortex Viper on this, and I feel like we probably should check the accuracy since I haven't shot since deer season. So we are actually doing this test at 75 yards. I felt like that's probably somewhere between 75 and 100 is typically where we are going to shoot those animals. So if we're going to test it, let's test it at the distance that we're going to shoot it ballistically. So you'll notice I am going to put on ear protection on this. This gun is loud. I would not recommend shooting a Texan without ear protection. So let's see what it does. lab dars up. We're going to go for the 75-yard gong down there. NOE-460-315 hollow point. Oh. Absolute dead center, 785 feet per second. Keep in mind this is a carbine. You can add about 100 feet per second with a longer barrel. So about 800 feet per second is about what I get. 785, I'll take it. We're going to charge it back up. I like to charge this one between every shot because when I go out to the woods and I hunt big game, I'm going to have it absolutely charged to where it is. I'm charging this to about 3,300 PSI. So let me get it charged. Let me stop that camera. We'll reset to the ballistic gel and we'll see if we can catch one. Well, we've gone down range and we've set up the ballistic gel and got the GoPro going. We've pumped it back up to 3,300 PSI. Got to bleed the air off of it. And we're going to give this a go. I feel like it's within the accuracy window of this gun. That is a rather small target at 75 yards. It's not really what this gun was intended for, but I think or hope I can hit it. All right. NOE-460-315 hollow point cast to about a 12.5 Brunel. There we go. Let's walk down range and see what happens. And as we're walking, I'll kind of explain why I'm shooting a 12.5 Brunel hardness instead of a 30-to-1. So with the 30-to-1, and I ballistically tested it back in the fall before I started the channel, I was getting full expansion. But I was concerned that it wouldn't pass through. Now over here on the eastern side of the state, yes, not a problem with those smaller deer. But over at the west side of the state where I like to hunt with my brother, it's a little bit different story. The deer are a lot bigger. Also, it's a good bit thick and I want to make sure that I got a full pass through. So my hope is that we got a lot of penetration. I really don't care about expansion. With the meplet that's on that bullet, that big flat meplet, I've killed tons of deer with a handgun using the same system, not even a hollow point. Technically, I could cast these and not use a hollow point, and they would be just fine. I want that pass through, and I want that absolute hitting power of that flat meplet. So, looks like we hit the gel. Let me turn you around and see what we got. And there's the hole. A little bit right of center, but we definitely hit the gel. We definitely got a full pass through, and you're probably not going to be able to see a wind cavity. That gel's kind of cloudy. It's not in that one. So we went through 11 inches, 11 and a quarter, one can, and it looks like we caught that one on the edge, but it doesn't look like we hit the can in the back. So let's open this up and see if maybe there's a bullet in there. Ah, yeah. So we got a little bit of expansion. That it's just going to do a ton of damage. It'd be like shooting a wad cutter. Now, the 30-to-1 that I was casting earlier, or last year rather, the beginning of deer season, it was opening all the way, and I'll show you in the wrap-up how that bullet did expand, and we were doing it at 75 yards. So I'm pleased. That's exactly what I was looking for this, and that's why I went to a 12.5 Brunel. I didn't necessarily want it to open. If you want it to open, the best thing I can advise you to do is cast that 30-to-1. So we're going to take it inside and we're going to wrap this up. I'll grab a couple that I have caught with both this Texan and the other Texan, casting 30-1, and we'll wrap this up. I have laid out on the table, and I'll put a close-up on one of the corners. So I had the original bullet, 293 grains. This is the 460-315. And the meplet, before you shoot, is, and it's hard to get right there at the edge, about 377.377, give or take. And that's one that's unfired. This is the one that we just recovered, and I'll get to explaining why this is important in a second. And this one was cast at a 12.5 Brunel. So this one ended up opening a little bit. We got a .512, and it penetrated with the carbine. It penetrated, I measured it off camera, 23¼ inches. So it went through 11¼ inches of ballistic gel. It was at the back of the second coffee can, and that came to 23¼ So this one is a 300 grainer that I did earlier in the season, fired out of that same carbine, but cast 30-1. And it opened up to .930. It went through 11¼ of ballistic gel, and I was able to recover it in the first milk jug about halfway through. And that's when I started questioning penetration, and I changed my lead. This is a 400 grain, basically the same mold, but 400 grain, and this was fired out of the big one. This one was cast 30-1 as well, and this one ended up penetrating 2 milk jugs, 11¼ inches of ballistic gel, and it expanded to .862. And that's where we come to the discussion of bullet hardness and why it's important. With a big meplet, I feel that it doesn't matter if it opens or not. You want an exit hole, in my opinion, so if something goes wrong, you have the ability to track the animal. And if it's expanding to full diameter, but you're not getting full penetration, you're not going to have a blood trail to follow. And so that's why I changed the lead hardness that I was using, and consequently I got more penetration even though I got less expansion, but I know I'll get a pass through. So it's something that you're going to have to think about. You can take my test results and you can go out to the range and get a good idea of what it's going to do, but I feel like in order to truly understand your weapon, to truly understand the bullets that you're casting, it'd probably be in your best interest to do some testing yourself. I'm going to stick with a 12.5 Brunel hardness because it passed through 23 inches roughly, and I feel like that's going to give enough to give me an exit wound. Deer around this part of the state, I'd consider shooting the softer lead. The animals are a lot smaller, and I know that I'll very likely get a pass through on that. I'm still going to have to think about it. The season's over. I'll make some decisions here during the summer. If you want faster, you're going to have to get a longer barrel. That Texan is wide open, and if you shoot the carbine, you're going to have 100 feet per second less than you do when you shoot the long one. And that's why I went with a little bit harder lead. If I were taking the long Texan with that bullet, I would have no problem with penetration on the west side of the state. Hope this gives you some things to think about. I feel like I accomplished exactly what I wanted to with this test. Hope to see you next time. Please make sure that you check out some of my other videos if you're interested in this, and make sure that you like and subscribe. Thanks, and have a nice day.